All right. So I'm going to apologize, everybody, for being late today, but we're here. So today is day 14. And today, what I learned today, I was reading an article that I think is so important. Probably one of the best articles I've read. I read a lot of articles every single day. But I read an article today on when to be quiet, and that was not the that was not the that wasn't the title of the article, but one of the things that I think came out of it that I think was very important was like it talked about a 3 question rule. It was from INC. And so say hi if you're out there. But one of the greatest things it talked about was like what I call when to be quiet. And I think that that is a science that more people should know, especially these days, because I think maybe it's because people don't feel heard a lot that they talk either too much or too soon. And I've been working with the AMP group at the fountain on creating quiet, which is another whole thing about how to create quiet spaces in your life and how to create quiet, just not only in your life but in your spirit, in your day. Because I do think there has to be moments in our day when it's silence. And the reality is, we are so addicted to noise that when we don't have quiet, when we don't have noise, we'll create noise just so that we won't be alone with quiet. I don't know, you guys. I don't know why people feel so uncomfortable with quietness, but I do know it is essential for peace of mind at some points. So, like I said, hey, hey, hey. But I was reading this Inc. article, and the thing that hit me, and I've heard of this before, but it was just like they called it the 3 important questions that you need to ask, and here are the three, and not made by me. It was actually an article that was written by Justin Bariso, and he was like, "Here's 3 questions that you need to ask." Um, and he got it from Craig Ferguson, so the comedian. And he said, "Here it is: 3 questions you should ask before opening your mouth or saying something. And does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said by me right now?" So today I was in a lot of conversations. It's Friday. And I was like, man, in some points, like you really, really want to say something. But I think because we are in a social media age where everybody is just you get to comment on everything, you get to say something about everything. Um, you get to, especially things that not normally is like if there's no social media, like these are things that I think used to we leave up to people on TV or whatever. But now because everybody can comment and everybody's voice is important, which it is. I don't think enough people understand the importance of like just being quiet sometimes and not speaking too soon, um, or speaking too much. But then there's the other part about speaking too late. So I've just been meditating on these things, like what I learned today: when to be quiet, when you really want to say something, and it's like, you know what, I don't think that needs to be said, but I really want to say it. Or it's like, you know what, somebody needs to say something, but either because of a lack of relationship or what a relationship is or lack thereof, maybe I'm not the person who needs to say this. Like it needs to be said, like if you're in a meeting or something and you're like, you know what, somebody should tell that person, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'm not the person who should say that thing. And I think last but not least, one of the more important things is like, maybe it's not me who should say it, or maybe it's not me who should say it right now. And that delay, I think, is self discipline, but it's also could change the course of an entire relationship with someone, or the course of a day, or even the course of an outcome, which is the same thing. But it could change the outcome of something by waiting and just being quiet. I think these days, not many people, there aren't many people who understand the importance of like, I wouldn't say waiting your turn because I don't necessarily believe in that, but I think there's something to be said about waiting for somebody to ask you your opinion, because we are so opinionated. And that doesn't negate the importance of speaking when it's time to speak up. But I do think, like, I was looking through social media today, and it was just people commenting on things that I was just like, why did they feel a need to say something? Like, why did they feel a need to tell that person that about their situation? Like, why does the world, need you to criticize somebody? So that was just some of the things I've been thinking about today, and just reminding myself, like, even though you really want to say something to somebody, really be prayerful before you open your mouth. That's at the end of the day. That's what it is. So I don't know about you guys. It's Friday. I don't know who's tapping in, so I'm about to tap out. But that's the biggest thing for me, because at the end of the day, knowing when to be quiet is the other part is knowing when to speak up and ask for help when you need it, or when you're overwhelmed, or knowing when to ask for prayer, and who to ask for prayer from. That's a whole nother thing for another day. Like, sometimes I think people ask for prayer and they really just want to discuss a topic, but and that's fine. But like, really knowing, like, if you really want somebody to pray for you, like, really knowing who to go to for prayer and who to go to for discussion. So that's another part of it too. Part of this thing on knowing when to be quiet is knowing, like, when, you know what, I need to say something. Like, when not to be quiet is the opposite part of it. So I don't know. You guys tell me, put it in the comment section, put it in the chat, when you've learned to be quiet, and when you've learned, like, when to speak up, and how do you discern between all of them? This is what Sylvia, I always think you, thank you. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, everybody. I didn't see y'all making comments. Deborah said there's a place and time. Hey, Deborah. And then thank you, Sylvia, for saying it's important to listen before we speak. Oh my gosh. You know what? I think listening is a lost art, because I think that most people, especially this day and age, because we get to speak. I just think that most people are used to talking and not listening, or they listen partially until it's like, ping, all right, now start thinking about your response, but I think that's another thing for another. But how do you, I guess I would ask you guys, how do you learn to calm your thoughts? I took a coaching class a year and a half ago now, and they taught us how to calm our thoughts, and to stay focused, hone in on what the person is saying. And I would name that learning to listen well is also learning to listen to the different nuances and changes in the person's voices. But today, we're not talking about listening as much as we're talking about when to be quiet. And sometimes it's hard. I think the hardest moments to learn to be quiet is somebody saying something false and you're just like, or they're saying something accusatory about you, which could be false, or something that, that just irritates you. Those are moments too. It's hard to be quiet. When do you guys feel like it's hard to be quiet? Because that's when we really need to learn to channel our strength and channel our discipline of self. But it could change your whole life if we learn to be quiet in the right moments and to create quiet. So if you guys have anything, put it in the chat. I know it's Friday. I'm about to be out, but that's what I learned today. Like I said, learning how to be quiet when I want to say something. And I praise God for that article where you can ask yourself, even then, like, should this be said? Should this be said right now? Should this be said by me right now? And being humble enough to tell yourself, you know what, no. Or strong enough to say, even though this is going to make me uncomfortable, even though this is going to make me maybe a pariah in this group or in this moment, maybe I should step up and say something. So I pray, you guys, that we learn how to be quiet so we can hear the voice of God, but that we will also learn when to speak and when to just let other people use their voices and not have to fill the world with noise. With that being said, this is my This is what I learned today. And I hope you have a wonderful night full of noise if you want noise, or full of quiet if you need quiet. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah and Sylvia, for saying I speak only. Deborah said when I can add value. Oh, that's so good. She says she speaks only when she can add value to the conversation. You guys, I'm going to do this for right now. How many people sit there and think, will my voice add value to the conversation? Will what I want, maybe my voice will, but what I have to say add value to the conversation? That is so good. Sylvia, you're just like a container wisdom. She says, it is important to listen to understand before we speak to understand. All right. That is so important. That is so important, right? Because so many of us talk. So I thank you guys for sharing that, because that just helped me listen to understand, and then really say to yourself, am I going to add value to this conversation? That's so dope. All right. This is what I learned today. One more time, I'm signing off because I'm past my 10-minute point. But you know what? I'm going to have a special guest coming forward. So it won't always be me every night. But I do thank you guys for checking in, checking it out, and adding to these conversations about what I learned today. All right. Thank you. Hey, if you are listening thus far, let's lift up our brothers and sisters in India. I know that's where I did my doctoral work, and I always have a heart for those in India. I meant to say it over the last week, but it is heartbreaking what is happening in so many places. But I pray that we lift up all of those people who are also going through COVID, but in a totally different way. So may we continue to be mindful and seek ways that we can serve no matter where we are. All right. Thank you guys. Love you. Talk to you later.